Imagine I handed $1 million to 100 random people today. A nice house, a luxury car, vacations on demand. It sounds like immediate freedom. But if we check back on those same 100 people 10 years from now, almost none of them will still be wealthy. Give it enough time, and that money will completely disintegrate. That happens because money itself is not the answer. You can hand someone cash, but you cannot hand them the ability to create it. You were likely taught how to earn a paycheck. You studied hard, aimed for good grades, and applied for a good job. But at no point in that process did anyone sit you down and teach you how wealth is actually generated. And that leads to a very modern kind of trap. You might be working harder right now than you ever have before. Your salary is probably bigger than it was 5 years ago. Yet you look at the price of housing, you look at your bills, and you feel entirely stuck. Then you see someone your age selling a company for $50 million, and it stings. So you tell yourself stories. They got lucky. They were born into it. They had connections. Those stories are comforting because they remove your responsibility. They let you believe the game was rigged before you even rolled the dice. The ceiling on your life is set by the mathematical equation you've been using since graduation. Regardless of your income, your age, or your education, if the underlying formula is broken, the result will always be the same. Let's look at the baseline equation almost everyone uses. Money equals job. You sell finite units of your time, and in exchange, you get paid. The logic seems perfectly reasonable until you run the numbers. Time has a strict ceiling. You only get 24 hours in a day. Imagine earning $20 an hour. If you work a 40-hour week for 50 weeks a year, you max out at $40,000 annually. Even if you saved every single penny of that salary, it would take decades to become a millionaire. And that assumes a perfect vacuum. It ignores taxes, it ignores inflation, it ignores rent, groceries, and emergencies. The math simply does not support the outcome. If wealth tracked directly with physical effort, the hierarchy of pay would look very different. A construction worker exerts far more energy than a software engineer writing code in an air-conditioned office. A professional athlete earns more in an afternoon than a teacher earns in a decade. Hard work alone is failing to move the needle for most people because the market is measuring something other than effort. This is the disconnect at the center of the old equation, and once you see what the market actually rewards, the strategy changes. The people who actually build wealth understand this distinction. They stop asking, "How can I make more money?" and they start asking, "What valuable problem can I solve?" Look at Amazon. Shopping used to require driving to a store, hoping an item was in stock, and standing in line. Amazon removed the inconvenience. They provided fast delivery and infinite choices. Millions of people loved the solution, and the market aggressively rewarded the creator. This pattern repeats everywhere. Netflix looked at the friction of driving to a video store and paying late fees, and they solved waiting. Uber looked at the difficulty of hailing a cab in the rain, and they solved inconvenience. You don't need to invent the next global logistics network to participate in this. You just need to listen. People complain about expensive housing, about slow software, and confusing healthcare. Every complaint is a business blueprint. Every frustration is the market explicitly telling you what hurts and asking if someone can make it easier. Money automatically flows towards value. If you solve a $10 frustration, the market pays you $10. If you solve a $1 million frustration, the reward scales to match. But solving a high-value problem still isn't enough if you are the bottleneck. You need the final component, scale. Imagine a high-end personal trainer. They charge an impressive $100 an hour. They solve a valuable problem for their clients, but their income is directly tied to their physical presence. The moment they get sick, take vacation, or need to sleep, the revenue stops completely. Now imagine that same trainer recording an online fitness program. They do the work to create it exactly once, but that program can be purchased by 10 people, 1,000 people, or 100,000 people simultaneously. That single piece of work exists independently of the creator. It generates revenue while they are entirely absent. Human effort is completely disconnected from the financial return. Scale is the exact mechanism that turns a decent living into extraordinary wealth. It is the math that allows your work to compound without your constant supervision. Which brings us to the ultimate question. If money dictates every hour of your schedule, And you have to count your vacation days to figure out if you can visit your family. Have you actually won the game? Most people are chasing the security and peace that currency represents. They want the ability to retire their parents, to travel without a return date, and to sleep through the night without a mortgage hanging over their heads. They want freedom. Millions of people spend decades trading their energy and their ambitions, waiting for a magical finish line called retirement, only to arrive and realize that time was the one asset they could never buy back. That is the real difference. One group accepts the standard math, sells their time, and complains when the system doesn't reward them. The other group searches for problems, builds scalable solutions, and lets the market reward the value they create. Building solutions guarantees nothing. Businesses fail and ideas flop. But playing the traditional game, relying on a fixed salary to outpace inflation, guarantees a loss. The people who successfully reach the destination aren't obsessed with money. They are obsessed with making life easier for someone else. Money is simply the receipt they collect on the way to freedom.